Hello again. I am here to share part 2 of the message of who the Creator is and who we are. And I have my note cards to go over this, and I'm actually glad that I didn't film the 2 videos back to back because I learned some things. And I want to just briefly go over what we spoke about in the last video, which was the fact that God is an internal relationship with yourself. And the gift of salvation is the gift to change your mind. And in doing so, you are able to take away the external influences, the external opinions, the belief systems, the bad habits, the toxic communities or environments that you're in, and you are able to go within yourself and look and see that all of that does not matter. It is simply the power that you give it that makes it matter in the first place. The energy that you give out, you will get back. So if you say to yourself that I am someone who is disciplined and kind-hearted and I seek God or I seek my higher self, then you will always be led in the right direction. But if you are someone who is confused on where to go in life, if you are someone who is just following what other people are teaching you or reading to you, let's just say, and if you're following what the crowd, what the majority of people are doing today, then you will most likely go through a lot of changes within you until you hit a wall. And then you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, gee, how did I get here? How did I end up in this situation? Or some people call it hitting rock bottom, when they have to rethink their entire lives and look over their actions, their beliefs, their habits, and who they have around them. And then they decide one by one, okay, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to stop talking to these people. I'm going to quit this job and go somewhere else. Or I'm going to stop letting the opinions of my family or my classmates or my coworker really affect me to the point where I'm feeling like I'm breaking down at the end of the day. So, that was just a touch on the relationship with God or the Creator being that of one that is an unbreakable relationship with yourself. And once you start doing the work internally, once you start questioning yourself, once you start questioning what is influencing you in the first place, then you are able to be led into a higher consciousness, into a higher level of intelligence. Behind your actions, your words, your deeds, your thoughts, lies your heart. So whatever you are letting into your mind is actually a reflection of what you are letting into your heart. And we all know that what is in your heart and what is in your mind is what you will see outside of yourself. The concept of good karma and bad karma is the very, proof. Very proof. Sometimes, there are things that happen to us that help us build our character. But if you are someone who is constantly putting out good energy, putting out good thoughts about yourself, helping those around you, building people up, giving advice when someone comes to you instead of turning them away, then your life most likely will not be filled with misery and dread. So that's just another example. You could tell by the science in how you feel. You could tell in how you change your thinking that what I'm saying is true. If you've ever done affirmations, if you've ever done daily affirmations or journaling prompts of, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to see my next 6 months. The 369 journaling, right? People talk about manifesting all the time, but if you don't believe it in your mind and you're still thinking cluttered negative thoughts like, oh, I'm never going to reach this goal. Oh, this is too hard. Or I knew someone who had the same dream and they tried it and they didn't end up, having any business or any luck out of it, so why should I even try? If that's what you're thinking and you're just journaling, you're just saying these things without actually believing them, then that's also another way to prove it to yourself right there. If you don't change your mindset and your heart, what you carry in your heart, then nothing is going to come to fruition. Nothing that you do or try will ever happen for you, because you have to believe it first already. Once you go through the phase of going for it in your mind, then you will program your body to believe that it's possible. And once you believe something is possible in your mind and your body, then the world around you will also shift. Don't miss what I just said. Now, going to speak on other philosophies and religions here with my note card. So, all of that being said, sometimes you are put in environments to change your mindset, to change your body, to change your belief system. For example, in Buddhism, Siddhartha Gautama, I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of these names also, was from 563 BCE. That is before Christ. And they were a nobleman, a prince even, born of a royal family bloodline. They married the fairest princess in all the land, it is said, and they had a child. And even with all of those things, with all of the access to riches, all of the access to the luxuries, the finest clothes, the healthiest, best food, the most beautiful, suitor in all of the land, and they were next in line for the kingdom. They didn't even want that. They did not want any of that. They said, none of this brings me true happiness. And they became so uncomfortable that they turned away from their life, their whole lifestyle, and they went into asceticism. Now, asceticism is a very extremist practice that preaches on denying your flesh of everything. Some ascetics believe that you shouldn't even wear clothes. They go meditate in the sun naked. They don't eat during the day. They eat, I think, one small vegetarian meal in certain practices. And other practices believe that you have to deny yourself of all contact with the outside world. So that is what Siddhartha, before they were named the Buddha, that is what Siddhartha did. And they meditated under a tree. And they reached enlightenment there when they turned away from their life of nobility and their life of asceticism. They said, being too pleased in your flesh does not truly give you internal satisfaction. And being too strict with your body and denying yourself of food, shelter, clothing, that whole lifestyle is also another way of extremism. And they found that somewhere in between the two is where they found enlightenment. And they were able to meditate and take out all of those beliefs, all of those external influences, and reach that point of knowing what you can achieve through just emptying your vessel of everything that you have been programmed. Now, from this, Siddhartha Gautama came up with the Four Noble Truths, I believe. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong with my teachings here, but the Four Noble Truths being that there is suffering. Suffering comes from attachment and craving, which can be described as your flesh. Suffering can be eliminated. And the fourth is the Eightfold Path is the only way to eliminate this suffering. Now, what is the Eightfold Path, you might ask? The Eightfold Path in Buddhism is tied to the right view, the right resolve, the right speech, the right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. All are ways in which we act, think, and meditate within. So if you follow your flesh, you will most likely not be able to concentrate. You will be addicted to your cravings. You will be addicted to your attachments to things. Just like I was saying before, an attachment to an environment, a job, a relationship, a way of thinking, a religion, a group of people, type of food that you eat, a substance. You could be addicted to anything. You could be addicted to shopping. You could be addicted to playing solitaire for 8 hours a day. It doesn't matter what it is. Jenga, Uno, online gaming. It doesn't matter, right? You could be addicted to anything that your flesh is attached to, is the point. So also don't think that an addiction is just a substance, a bad relationship, or a drug. Addiction can be anything because it's a mindset in the first place. It is an attachment, an extreme attachment at that, to something that your flesh has attached to. It is attached to pleasure. It is attached to the feeling that you get from doing it, the euphoria, the comfort, right? And that's why you have to keep doing it. That's why it's an addiction. You keep going back to it because it is something that will never satisfy your soul. So, in all ways, Siddhartha Gautama, he was able to satisfy his soul by denying his flesh. And he found a sweet spot, between the two extremes. Now, there is something else that was similar to that. The idea and the concept of Yeshua HaMashiach was from 4 to 6 BC when they were born, about those times. Now, both Siddhartha Gautama and Yeshua HaMashiach left their life of comfort, of ease, of the community that they had built, and they had left on this journey just before they turned 30 years old. So they had generations upon generations of doing the same thing, being in the same areas, the same community, the same lifestyle, and they were still not satisfied until their higher self, until their soul was able to remove them from the path that they were on and seek higher knowledge, seek higher visions for their selves, for their mind, for the people around them. Now, that's you could speak a lot about that, but I would just leave it there with those two similarities. Now, going back to the concept and the idea of certain religious teachings being one of, we are all connected, we are all in the universe together, we are all identified under the same spirit, the same family. So, there are many religions that actually use 2 or 3 religions to practice respecting nature, respecting everything. Animism obviously is the biggest one that believes everything has a soul, everything has a spirit, everything is connected and tied, because everything that has life has a spirit, as something that gives life back into the world, the breath of life. So there is a teaching similar to Buddhism, similar to animism, similar to a lot of other things, but it was traced in 1844, what is now Iran. Back then it was called Persia, and it is the Baha'i or the Baha'i teachings, meaning this covered that regardless of race, gender, or nationality, there is only one God, unknowable in essence, yet sends messengers and prophets to reveal who they are. One human family combines and ties us together. Now, Isaiah chapter 40 in the Bible confirms this very notion of God being an unknowable in essence. Yet they had prophets and visionaries and oracles and angel guides and people, real people, speaking and giving account on behalf of those who had direct dealings with the messengers and prophets of God. So, the idea of sin in this teaching separates you from God. They believe in the unity of God, the unity of all religion, and the unity of all humanity. And what is that? What does it look like? So, this teaching encourages everyone to treat others as they would treat themselves and prefer others over oneself. So this is a combination of the teachings of Christianity, of treating others just like you would treat yourself. You know, turn away if someone has anything negative or slanderous, or someone's trying to physically harm you, you turn your other cheek, you turn the other way from them, because that is treating them better than you would treat yourself, by giving them grace. And the teaching of Buddhism about going within and encouraging the world to treat others as they would treat themselves. So if you have, again, the eightfold path that you follow, that means that you would have the right attitude when you're speaking to someone. You would have the right mindset. You would have the right resolve to want to squash the conflict, to want to not make environments of hostility towards others, because you are living in the right mindset. You are living in the right actions, the right speech, the right conduct. You are not aiding in the suffering of anyone, nor yourself. So that is the Baha'i teachings.